I'd like you to get a crayon to draw your lines for this project. Boys and girls, today our first step in creating a space to paint on, we're going to break up this space into a variety of lines. And we've talked about lines before. You could draw a straight line down, maybe a curvy line somewhere in your picture. How about a dashed line? Line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line, stop, line. Maybe a jagged line. I'll start here. Zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag. I'm going to try a loopy line. Loop, 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 loop. All right, I think the last line that I'm going to make is going to be a line that ends in a shape. So I'm going to go bounce, bounce. So I got a little heart. And I'm going to end another line into a shape by closing it into a circle. See? All right, I've got some interesting things to paint here. Sections of my paper. Now, boys and girls, we're going to learn how to paint. You're going to need certain supplies. This is a watercolor set. We're watercolor painting today, and they can be very messy, so you have to be careful. So I have special rules on how to use our paint materials. So you'll need a brush. At the end of the brush, you'll see these little hairs. These are called bristles. You want to be very gentle with them. You'll need a container of water. You'll need a paint set. And you will need a little rag or a paper towel. I have an old dish rag here. Now the first thing that we should really learn about painting is to be gentle with our brush. These are the bristles. They're like little hairs. And whenever you paint, you want to make sure that your brush stays nice and pointy. And you're always having a good hair day. You're not mashing or pushing or crushing your brush down on your paper, okay? And let's see. Okay, we always want to have a good hair day. Okay, so if you press your brush down too hard and you start to twist, you'll see that these bristles will start to break out and you can ruin your brush that way. So we're going to be very gentle with this. All right, boys and girls, you will also want to learn how to wash your brush between every color. So when you're washing your brush, you're just moving the brush softly on the bottom of your container. And if you have extra water on your brush, we don't bang it. Bang, bang, bang. You could spill your water on accident and you'll splatter little bits of paint all over. So when you're trying to get a little extra water off your brush, you just wipe on the edge. Very simple, or you can just carefully wipe on the towel. All right, boys and girls, we are going to start with wetting our watercolor set. And what you need to do is pick up a little water with your brush and make a tiny little, carry it over to your watercolor set, make a tiny little puddle of water. And you're so very gently going to start moving that watercolor around, and you're going to see that it loosens the pigment or the paint. And now I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to choose my first space to add paint, okay? So you have to gently, carefully start moving your paint around. Pick a shape to add your paint. Now I'm going to start with yellow. I'd like you to try to start with a very light color like yellow because your water won't get very dirty. Just try not to start with black or brown or purple. Those are very dark colors. Even the blue is very, very dark. So I'd like you to start with your lightest colors first. Now I'm going to dip back into my paint because I made myself a little puddle, And I'm just going to gently, carefully move my brush back and forth, softly, never hammering down on it. Pick up the water and move it over. Okay, I have this spot in yellow. Now I think I'd like another spot in yellow. I think down here I'm going to add yellow. Carefully moving it over, softly, gently, never bashing. My little puddle still has a lot of paint in it. I don't need very much water. And I'm slowly moving over. Now, the bristles on the brush will hold water very nicely if it's not trying to carry too much water over. And you'll get the feel for it. So now I did 2 sections in yellow, and I feel like I'm all ready to switch my color. I'm not going to go into a new color. We never go into a new color with a dirty brush. So you're going to take your brush and gently wipe it down in your container. Wonderful. We're always being gentle. We're going to practice painting another color. Now I need to wet another color, and I'm going to go to this nice light orange. And I'm going to bring the paint over and kind of tickle the paint a little bit and pick it up. And now I'm going to find a new spot to add this nice light orange. Very nice. Back and forth, gentle, gentle, gentle. I need a little more paint. Pick it up, move it over. Here's my next color of light orange. And I think I'm going to do this side. Now, do you see how much space I have over here? That's a big space. So I have to carefully and gently bring my paint over. Now, here we go. You can fill your section with solid color. Boys and girls, you can see I sped up the camera a little bit. You do not or should not paint as fast as I look right now. Try and finish the section that you have before you move on to another one. Okay, I have yellow and I have orange. I'm going to wash this brush before I move over, and I think I might skip the dark orange and go right to red. I'm going to wet this red. Remember, I lift a little bit, and you can see that the water will start to change colors. And I am going to go to red now. Now I'm going to just tickle this paint with my brush carefully, and I'm going to work inside here. The interesting thing about crayons is they are waxy and they act as a resist. That means they push back the paint. So crayons are a perfect way to keep your paint separated. And I'm going to be very careful to fill in this space. Boys and girls, be careful not to rub your brush in one area repeatedly. That means over and over. You will end up ripping a hole in your paper, and I don't think that's what you'd like to do. So just paint in a section and move to the next area, move to the next area, never rubbing with your brush too long in one section. Carefully rubbing it on the bottom of my container, not being too rough with it. My bristles still look very good. And I'm going to choose a new color. I think I'm going to start moving to the greens. So I'm going to lift my water over and put a little bit of water inside here and make a little puddle. And you can see, even though my water is a little bit orange, it's not going to really change this green. And I think I'd like to do the inside of these circles, inside of my loops. There we go. And I think I'm going to do this section carefully, going around this edge. All right, I'm done with this green section. I'm going to carefully wash my brush, not to tip it over. I can wipe the edge of the water right here. And I'm going to switch colors again, and I think I'd like to try this bluish green. I'm going to add a little bit more. Now the colors are getting darker. You will notice that your paint, the water you have, will start getting darker. And I'm going to carefully paint this section. I think I'd like to switch colors more often, so I made another line right there with my brush instead of the crayon. So I want to switch colors more often. It's fun that way. That's a dark color. Now you'll see that my colors are starting to get very dark. All right, I have to clean my brush off before I ever switch, but I'm still in this purple, and I needed a little more water in my brush. And if you touch wet paint, you're going to see that they start to mix in together. So I have to be a little careful not to touch that other paint. Because right now I'm trying not to do mixing on my paper. It happens, which can be quite nice. But right now I'm just trying to learn how to handle my colors and work my way around this paper. All right, I made another line here. I'm going to wash my brush before I take a new color. This one I'm going to do. And let's see, I'd like to add another line. I want to break this up a little bit more. Straight line, straight line, straight line. There we go. Be neat, be safe with your water, no spilling, no tipping, no banging your brush, and no mixing colors inside your palette. This is your palette. Careful, make your little puddle and bring it to your paper. Ooh, that's a pretty color. I'm always watching how gentle I am with this brush, and it's still pretty nice and straight. I haven't got a bad hair day on my brush yet. You don't want them sticking out. You don't want the bristles sticking everywhere. Okay, I'm going to switch colors again, so I'm going to wash my brush. And I haven't yet tried this orange, so I'm going to wet this orange. Remember, you have to get the colors a little bit wet in order for them to work. Ooh, nice orange. Paint sometimes splatters into other areas. It's kind of nice. It doesn't have to be perfect. And later we'll paint over other colors once they're dry. And sometimes when they're wet, it's fun. There's different techniques to learn in watercoloring. And here we go. I'm going to wash my brush. Oh, I almost tapped on there. I don't want to tap. See, that's an old habit. To wipe, wipe, wipe. Okay, and then I think I'm going to put a little color in this blue. And I've worked my way from light colors to darker colors. Now let's say you're running out of time. You're like, oh, Miss Kroll, class is almost over. I'm not done with my painting and I want to finish. Sometimes you could finish with a little bit of a different technique. Watch. And on the last section, maybe I can't fill it in with color, but I could do this and make little dots, which is a nice addition. Look how soft those little dots are. I'm not mashing my brush down. I'm going to go back into my purple and I'm going to add some dots here.